Hey, good morning, Walla Walla. Welcome back. KUJ News Time's now 8:05. 70 degrees outside. We're on our way to a high of 97 today. It's going to be hot. Thanks for joining me this morning. Hope you've enjoyed the show so far. Current time now is 8:05. I'm Tom Goldsmith, and I'm very, very pleased and happy to have joining me this morning Linda Gunshefski, who is the candidate for the Washington State House of Representatives for the 16th District. And she was happy enough to get up this morning and join us and come on in and talk to us about her platform and what she's running on and that sort of thing. And tell us a little about herself. Thank you for coming in, Linda. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Tom.
Yeah.
I really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you and your listeners.
Yeah.
Thank you, Walla Walla.
Yeah.
So some of you listeners may know me. I'm Dr. Linda Gunshefski. I'm a retired ophthalmologist. I practiced here in Walla Walla for over 25 years. I practiced at the Walla Walla Eye Center and eye and laser physicians. I've taken care of thousands of residents in this valley, trying to help maintain vision and improve vision for many patients.
Yeah. And I should have, and I apologize. My bad. I call you Linda Gunshefski. I need to call you Dr. Linda Gunshefski.
Linda's fine. Thank you. Really, it is.
I respect is due. I'm just telling you.
But my patients used to call me Dr. G.
Dr. G?
That's what I went by.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Yeah. Well, tell us a little about yourself. Where do you come from? Where did you go to school? How did you get here?
So I'm originally from New Jersey. Literally from Bruce Springsteen country.
Nice.
Yes, Highway 9.
Love the boss.
Yeah, Highway 9, Route 88. All those places were in my hometown.
Nice.
So the boss means a lot to me. I went to college in Maryland at Johns Hopkins. I went to medical school in New Jersey at Rutgers Medical School.
Nice.
In Piscataway, New Jersey.
Yeah.
And then after graduating from medical school, I went to University of Nevada. And that's where I met my husband, Tim Caudle, who lives in Walla Walla. He's from Walla Walla, and that's how I arrived here.
Nice work, Tim.
Thank you. So Tim and I worked in medicine in Nevada for 3 years.
So Tim's a doctor also?
Tim is an anesthesiologist at St. Mary's Medical Center.
Got it.
And both his parents were also in the medical field. His father, Robert Caudle, was a physician at the Walla Walla Clinic. And his mother, Marion Caudle, was a nurse at St. Mary's Medical Center.
Wow.
And the Oddfellows Nursing Home.
Wow.
So our family has a legacy of providing medical services in the Walla Walla Valley.
That's fabulous.
Yeah, I'm very proud to be part of that legacy.
So what actually then, so you guys met in Nevada. Was it Vegas, you said?
Yeah,
Las
in Vegas. And I worked the trauma center there, which was really kind of crazy. Lots of action, lots of car accidents, gunshot wounds, knives, everything. We were also the burn center. So it was every third night call, very hectic, very busy.
Yeah, I'll bet. So then you guys were there. So what then, I mean, obviously your husband's originally from here. So what then brought you guys back here? I mean, it must be very difficult for two physicians to find positions in the same town.
Indeed, it is. And we both ended up ultimately in Chicago completing our residencies. I decided to specialize in ophthalmology. So I was accepted and finished an ophthalmology program at Northwestern University in Chicago.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, and Tim was also finished his residency there. And we were lucky enough to find a job here in Walla Walla. Tim said, hey, let's look at my hometown. It's a great place to live, a great place to raise a family. And we knew to reach out to some doctors in the community who needed younger help. It was a time in their practice where they wanted to bring some younger physicians in to start accepting new patients and offering new services. So, but there was this little bit of time in my general surgery residency and ophthalmology where I lived in California.
Okay. Yeah. But then you guys ended up here and both practice here in town, and that is amazing, actually.
Yeah, It's really unheard of these days.
Very rare.
For doctors to stay in the same community for their entire medical career.
Yeah.
After my residency, I came and practiced here, and I stayed here for over 25 years.
Wow. Well, everyone here was lucky to have you and your husband here to benefit from your expertise. And so let's move on to, what at this point, you're both doctors, you're a doctor, you're in ophthalmology. What then pushed you into when you started getting into politics a little bit, had you retired at that point, or were you about to retire? Tell me about that.
Well, I was winding down my medical practice when I started to become politically active.
Okay.
I was starting to think about retiring in the near future. And about the time of the 2016 election, after the outcome of that election, I decided that that I needed to do more.
Mm-hmm.
And a group of us thought that perhaps Americans weren't used to the idea of women lawmakers. So we wanted to do something to help women who might be interested in politics and to help people get more comfortable with the idea of women in politics. So we started an organization to help women run for office.
Got it. And what was that called?
That was called the Network of Exceptional Women. And we ran educational events to teach women how to run for office, how to fundraise, how to advertise, how to put together a team, how to put together a message, just kind of the basic things that somebody would need to know to run a competent campaign and who might not have other means of learning how to do that.
And that was in 2016 you founded that?
That was in 2016.
Okay. And then how many women kind of came into that and started that?
Well, at first there were about a dozen of us.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, but then it grew into at times 60, and one time we had over 500 members.
Wow.
Yeah, so and we're still active. There's still many women who are interested in being politically active, politically aware.
Is that a statewide thing, or is that just local?
That's just local in Walla Walla.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
500.
Yeah, at our highest count.
That is fantastic. And so basically, and this is mostly on the Democratic ticket that we're talking about, or was it a mix?
It was a mix. We're trying to remain independent. We supported a number of Republican candidates. I've entertained a number of Republican women candidates in my own home to try and help their campaigns.
Okay.
But I think statistically, it probably tilts in the other direction.
Yeah. The left direction.
And in the Democrat direction.
Okay. And then, so that was in 2016, and that took you to like 2020. When was it that you decided maybe you should step in and start?
Well, I retired from full-time practice at the end of 2019, about 2020. And then, of course, COVID hit and things were crazy. But I recently, this past year, decided that I myself wanted to take the leap and become more politically active.
Okay.
Obviously, as a physician, healthcare is my priority. Mm-hmm. And that's what I know the most about. And I am deeply disturbed to see dwindling healthcare services in the Walla Walla Valley.
Okay.
This used to be a excellent medical community. We had lots of amazing doctors, and slowly through attrition, retirement, and also from doctors moving away, we've lost some of our critical medical services. There's a shortage of general surgeons. Obstetrics is kind of, barely covered. So neurosurgery, ortho, urology, there's a lot of subspecialties that are just not as well represented as there used to be.
Is that mostly caused to retirement, or is it caused just people moving away? What is that caused by?
Well, I think it's a net. It's retirement and people moving away, but then we're having difficulty replacing those people.
Got it. Okay.
So I'd like to really do something about improving healthcare access here in the community.
Okay.
But the other thing that has really deeply disturbed me is the abundance of laws that are restricting women's access to health care.
Okay.
And I feel very strongly that we need more people in the legislature who understand medicine and understand science. Right now, there are no doctors in the Washington state legislature.
I did not realize that.
Yeah, and so these people their legislatures are making decisions about medicine, and they've got nobody to consult with, nor do they know much about it themselves. So I think that needs to change. I think we need people from all backgrounds representing us in the legislature.
Wow, I had no idea that there was no doctors in there So, I mean, how do they do that now? Do they just randomly make decisions, or are they consulting anybody?
Well, I don't think they're necessarily randomly making decisions. A lot of them get input from their lobbying groups and political action committees, or look at what's being done in other states and try to mimic it in Washington state. I believe there are a lot of genuine people there who are trying to do what's best for us as Washingtonians, but you still need people sitting in the room who know what's going on in these other industries and professions and fields.
Right. Well, if you just joined me, I'm sitting here with Dr. Linda Gunshefski, who is running for the Washington State House of Representatives in the 16th District, and we are very happy to have her with us today. We're going to take a quick break, but we will be right back and hear more from Dr. Gunshefski when we get back. KUJ News Time's now 8:21. I'm Tom Goldsmith with Walla Walla Live, and I'm sitting here with Dr. Linda Gunshefski. She's the candidate for the Washington State House of Representatives for the 16th District here in Washington State. And when we went away for that rather long commercial break, we were talking about Linda's stance on women's healthcare, and I know you want to expand on that a little bit more and how you're running on that.
Well, I've been alarmed at some of the laws that have been passed across the country, restricting doctors' ability to take care of their patients.
Right.
And I take that very seriously as a physician and to heart as a woman. As I mentioned earlier, I'm married to Tim Caudle, who's a doctor here at St. Mary's Medical Center. I am so fortunate to be married to this man. When we got married in the early 1990s, we were living in Sacramento, California, and I was between residencies. So of course I thought, well, gee, this is a great time to start a family. You were just married. I'm young. Let's start a family. And I very, very much wanted to be a mother. I'm looking all over the place. I'm seeing babies everywhere. So I'm doing the things that most women do when they're trying to get pregnant, taking my temperature, writing it down on the calendar. And it seemed like every month I was disappointed. So I remember this one Saturday morning, Tim was on call and I was home alone. And I woke up in the morning feeling kind of meh, just not great. I felt like I had gas pains, maybe ate too much ice cream or something. So I took my temperature and it was up a little bit, but then I checked my pulse, which was, kind of weird because my pulse was racing at 130. And I really couldn't figure out why that would be because I had just gotten up. So I called Tim, who was at the hospital. I said, honey, I feel kind of sick. Temperature's up a little bit, but my pulse is really rapid. So, he says, well, hey, Linda, our friend Bill is on duty down at the emergency department. Why don't you come down to the ER and we'll check it out? So I literally lived 1 block away from the hospital. So I walked myself down to the hospital, checked into the ER. Bill was on duty, took me into basically a storage room in the back and laid me down on a gurney, took my vital signs and confirmed that my pulse was indeed rapid. And he took some blood for testing. And I'm sitting there laying on this gurney, looking at the ceiling, waiting for time to pass, wondering what's going on. And suddenly Bill and my husband, Tim, come back into this room. And they say, well, we've got to move you to another room, Linda. And I'm like, well, why? And Tim looks at me and says, well, Linda, you're pregnant. And I was floored because I had had a normal cycle 2 weeks earlier.
Oh.
So I had no idea that I was pregnant. So they actually wheeled me into a telemetry room where they put the wires on me and I could see my heartbeat going up on the wall. And I'm like, well, why am I in a room like this? And they said, well, your red blood cell count is down 20% of normal, which would indicate that I was bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
So they brought an ultrasonographer in right away who couldn't find anything, couldn't locate a pregnancy, but I had a positive pregnancy test, so I was definitely pregnant. So, I'm thinking about this all, and I'm a doctor, so I know what's going on. And I knew that I needed an exploratory laparotomy. Mm-hmm. My pulse is up, my blood pressure is normal, my blood count is down. But I also knew that any surgery at this stage of pregnancy would result in the loss of a pregnancy. Mm-hmm. But I knew that's what was needed to, either save my life or save my reproductive system. Mm-hmm. So they got me to the OR pretty fast. I was in the OR maybe 3 to 4 hours after I came through that emergency room. At the time of surgery, they found almost 1 liter of blood in my abdomen, which is significant.
Yeah.
So if they hadn't made that diagnosis and treated me very quickly, I could have died. So what saved my life was prompt care. Mm-hmm. And not only did they save my life, the surgeon was able to save my fallopian tube since they caught this thing relatively early, and I was able to have children. And if you know my sons, you know they're amazing people. Our oldest son, Tim, is a naval officer. I'm a Blue Star mom because he graduated from the United States Naval Academy.
Wow, impressive.
And he's serving our country right now as we speak.
Wow. And
our other son is an aerospace engineer working on the Artemis project, which is going to land a woman on the moon. Wow. So I went on to have wonderful children, beautiful family, and take care of thousands of people in this valley. Now, the reason I want everybody to listen up was because what happened to me, if that happens to a woman in Boise today, she could easily die because of the restrictive laws about women's reproduction that are in place there. And these laws can cause a delay in treatment and could easily put a woman's life at risk or certainly her reproductive future.
So that particular surgery they would not be able to do in Boise today?
I believe not medically no, because I was pregnant. They couldn't identify the pregnancy. Mm-hmm. And by taking me to the OR, it terminated the pregnancy. So they would fly that patient either out to Salt Lake City or Seattle, or maybe even send her home. If they sent her home, she could easily die. No doubt about it. These are alarming laws. Unfortunately, these laws are written who don't understand medicine. Mm-hmm. They don't know medicine, and they don't listen to the doctors like the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology that say, hey, this is a bad law. It keeps us from doing what we need to do for our patients. So these laws are very dangerous. I want people to understand that they are a huge loss of rights for women. Basically, in several states, women can no longer receive the standard of care that they might in another state because they are pregnant. And people need to know that miscarriage is very common. As a doctor, I learned that 25% of pregnancies will miscarry in the first trimester. So there are a significant number or portion of women who need medical care during their first trimester.
That's an amazing story.
Yeah.
And I'm really, really happy you shared that with us because this is very important. This is hugely important with these decisions that are being made right now.
Yeah. And from the doctor's perspective, that's my perspective as a woman, loss of my rights of not being able to get the health care I need when I need it. But as a doctor, I last year got a letter from my malpractice carrier who said if I practice in Idaho or Texas, I have to practice this by the standard of care, let's say, of Washington State or California. Okay, so I've got to do the right thing.
Yeah.
But second sentence of this letter was, but if you run afoul of the laws of your state, we will not defend you in court. We will not pay your fine, and we will not defend you trying to keep your medical license.
Wow.
So physicians in these states are caught between a rock and a hard place, and they're leaving.
Wow. Unbelievable stories. And I am so appreciative that you were able to share that with us today. And hopefully we can have you back on to talk more. Really quick, how do people find out about you?
Please, you can email me at drlgun@yahoo.com, Dr. Linda Gunn at yahoo.com, or you could look at my website, www.electlindagunshefski.com.